Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Scoochie Bob Commentaries. Once again, we are going to be commentating on the Keyforge Premier League group stages. This time, do you want to tell us who we've got playing, Callum?
Yep, so we're looking at George from the Manchester Mavericks up against Aeroyak from Beer Fortune Spain. Manchester in the UK, that is, for our non-UK audience.
Yep, that's GJ999 as he goes by.
True.
It's a handle.
Well, we're personal friends, so obviously we
Yeah, George, good friend of the show.
Yes, friend of the show indeed. We're going to start with one of his decks, that being Tenebris of Lobberoom Prison.
Indeed we are.
And this is some Edai shenanigans.
Shenanigans is the operative word. I would definitely say that.
You've got 3 Edais, double Tau Vapors. So the amount of cards you can get in the archive is pretty filthy, especially as you've also got an Information Officer Grey and a Library of the Damned.
You do, yeah. So you're looking at archiving all three houses, and like we've kind of seen this deck work before, and we know that is very much what it tries to do. You're trying to get your deck as thin as possible to almost get yourself into a loop with just the Edis, the Entropic Swirls, and the Tau Vapors, maybe.
Yeah, just pretty much take out all of the dis and leave yourself with just pure brutal Logos efficiency.
Yeah, just going to get yourself in a situation where your opponent can kill your Edis, but they're just coming straight back down, archiving more cards, keeping your key cost up high, and you're just making Ember and stacking that up higher and higher while your opponent can't do much about it.
I think the last time I saw this deck, its opponent's key costs were 44, and I think that's not even remotely the highest.
No. But you also got some really useful stuff in the other houses to kind of get you to that point too. So like say Red Alerts and Star Alliance, really helpful to have knocking around. First Officer Frames, Chief Engineer Walls too, with a couple of upgrades to take advantage of those. Really
the
nice
Star Alliance
cards.
is just pretty solid. And a Medic Ingram as well, potentially real big. If you can't find your hologramophone to ward the Edis, you can keep them on the board.
I think actually another really clutch card here could be the Orb of Invidious too. You know, when you're wanting to kind of maybe play a slower game, take yourself like down to the long game, having Orb of Invidious to stun your opponent's creatures when they're trying to reap could really like make sure that happens a lot better.
Could be. Also the Exhume if you need to bring back an Edai, perhaps.
Yeah.
All right, that's Tenebris.
It is.
Let's move on to Razormere.
Yeah, let me just move the screen over slightly so we get that. So Razormaz is Kota and Kota Sanctum, which is not something you see all that often, and I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, at a competitive level, it doesn't show up that much. Considered one of the weaker houses in Kota. Scandalous, though you might find that opinion.
I do find it thoroughly scandalous.
But it does a good job here, and what the stack will do is just do quite irritating, control-y things whilst generating an insane amount of Ember whilst doing it, right?
Definitely.
18 pips, 30 expected, and all of the houses are very disruptive and controlling. So you've got the Dis, where you have 2 control the weaks, double Tendrils of Pain, and a Gateway for board clear.
Restringantus as well. Choose a house. Your opponent cannot choose that house, their active house, until it leaves play. One of my favorite cards.
At least slow them down, potentially get a full lockout.
Gabos Long Arms as well, really good for just kind of like fighting those awkward creatures. Really handy card.
Get around taunts and elusive and whatnot. Then we have a lot of doubles in Sanctum, which is always interesting, makes it very consistent.
Yep.
Have double terms of redress, just very simple cap to Ember. Double Lady Maxina, which can get real annoying because it just keeps stunning your creatures over and over again.
Yep.
Double Sergeant Zakiel to come in, got some good fights elsewhere in the deck.
Also got Jehu the Bureaucrat, which is after you choose Sanctum as your active house, gain 2. So if you can't get rid of that straight away, that could be potentially getting some nice Ember. And with Sanctum being a house that you're very likely to want to take another Sanctum turn after a Sanctum turn, could be a really good card.
Yeah, so we'll just do very classic Sanctum stuff. Be there on the board, sit there and be big and have armor and capture Ember reasonably consistently.
Exactly.
And then we have Shadows, which, it's Kota Shadows. You've got a TMTP. You've got double Relentless Whispers. You've got 2 Moon Curses, a double Ghostly Hand. All of this will just steal Ember and generate a lot as well.
Moon Curse are great with Sergeant Tequils as well, if you can keep it on the outside. Interesting to note about this deck is that it is minus 1.5 speed, so a very slow deck, but with the amount of like capture and steal and disruption and generally kind of like making your opponent feel bad in this deck, I think it's going to be able to power through that pretty well, and this deck is still going to do very, very nice things.
Yeah, the lack of speed is not necessarily a problem when you almost always have an answer in hand.
Exactly, yeah.
So moving on to Charlatan Theodora Turbo Smack,
Hmm.
which I think we're just going to call Turbo Smack because
Yeah, it
that's
sounds
quite
like
entertaining.
a good name. Strong.
And here we have what my notes describe as mutant Russian stealing.
I would agree with
So
that.
we have 2 Vault's Blessings, Dav, Dark Ember Vault,
Mm.
10 mutants. So that already is going to get you quite a lot of draw and quite a
Yes.
lot of bursting ember.
I think the good thing about this Volt's Blessing in this format, where it is kind of like 3 set, who's it tried, means that you're often going to have at least one game where that Volt's Blessing is going to be one-sided to give you a bunch of Ember and your opponent very little Ember.
Yeah, potentially more than one because you can just ban the MM, right? If you
This is
think you're
true.
particularly reliant on those Vault's Blessings.
Yeah.
The Shadows is a lot of steel. You've got red pennies, you've got your bows. What's interesting is the Heist Knight. So Heist Knight often struggles because Shadows doesn't really put out that much of a big board presence.
Mm.
But here you have the Dav and quite a few mutant
Yeah,
thieves.
I think you have 5 or 6 of the creatures in there are mutants. I think that's 5 actually.
Yeah, 5 plus a couple of other thieves.
Yeah.
So, like, people aren't really going to go out of their way to kill a 5 power mutant cut purse. Uh, so you can potentially get a very good Heist Knight off.
Yeah.
And then we have Borrow, always, pretty much always
Also,
useful.
Word of Returning, also very very interesting card to talk
Very,
about in context of our Saurians here, because you've got a lot of capture effects, you and exalt effects too. Curse of Vanities, Spores of Battle, Faust the Great to exalt Ludo in case you haven't got that coming around. So
yeah. Unfortunately, Word of Returning is enemy creatures, but you
is it
can
enemy creatures?
still,
Ah, it is correct.
yeah, but you can still stack up some enemy creatures with Curse of Vanity, with Chant of Hubris,
Hmm.
and get it that way. Also, just if your opponent's trying to do that, you can really screw them over with the Word of Returning.
You most definitely can. Yeah.
And the Saurians just does like Saurian stuff. It will stack up Ember with exalting effects. It will move it around with sort of stuff like Curse of Vanity, Spoils of Battle, huge Ember capture. And
Indeed.
then you have what we like to call I think it's the New York,
It is. I believe. Yeah, we start calling
or,
it the New York.
or possibly not. It's the Axiom of whatever we nicknamed Axiom of Risk plus Ancient Power.
Yeah, I think that was only when you got the CSI as well, because it's not really a combo without that. But
That's how this pun works. Yes.
yeah,
Okay. Never mind.
and that's
Uh,
Miami Plus is the Axiom of Risk, Ancient Power, and CSI.
you ever think we talk too much about Keyforge?
A little bit, yeah, but we did create a YouTube channel to do expressly that, so
We
here we are.
did, and you're listening to it now. So who's the real winner here?
So three very nice, very different decks. I'd say here is the interesting thing. Now, sometimes you see in Triad, you get 3 quite similar decks, and someone's got a very clear playstyle. I think George has gone for a variety here.
Yeah, but I think they are all capable of winning specific types of games, right?
Hmm,
Which I think is what you're looking for in Triad because you know which of your decks will be able to take out which of the other person's decks.
precisely, precisely. Okay, I think we should now have a look at his opponent's decks.
Yep.
And
So we go over to Aeroyak from Team Beerforge out of Spain.
mhm,
And we start off with, please excuse me for this, Garda del Zoologico El Plateado,
that's how I would have said it. So yeah.
which is the Silver Zookeeper.
Ah, very nice.
Uh,
Okay, so I think
and
the first thing you got to be drawn to here is that's double Captain Valgerico.
double Valjerico. So this deck has 17 speed, a good chunk of which is from Valjerico, but also the Logos is pretty fast. So you're pretty much just going to be trying to cycle through your various tools and responses as quickly as possible. If you can
Mm.
get a board going here with the Vals, with say the aliens and with the bots, you can get very quick through your deck in a way that is significant.
Yeah, you also got some just useful stuff there. You've got stuff like Detention Coil as well. Teleport Chief Tinks can be very good for firstly for moving around Valgerico, so if you really need to, maybe you want to get some stuff
Ooh,
on one side or the
yeah,
other.
I like that.
But also just for using stuff out of house too. So, you say you've got something like an Odd Clawed, really useful. Adaptoid, incredibly useful. A Historic Hog could be really useful too. Got a lot of things you want to use out of house. Teleport Chief Tink giving you the ability to do that.
Yeah, you've got good Ember control, and that you have double Infernus, double Stirring Grave to get them back again,
Mm-hmm.
Pandemonium, Effervescent, all very good.
Break key in a pinch as well. If someone's got a fast start, you can just rein them back with that break key. Sadly, nothing to increase key cost I'm seeing right now, but Yeah,
You could certainly break key Pandemonium.
you could, yeah, and then Effervescent Principle for the next turn too. With
Yeah,
Mark of Dis as well, given where hopefully they can't take advantage, can't like destroy your creatures to get that Ember back. I think like that's a combo that could take a little bit of setup, but potentially could be devastating in some
yeah.
games.
I think the problem here you have is the creature control.
Mm.
Because it gets a score of 7.6, which is okay, but there aren't really that many things at all that can remove a creature.
No, if your opponent
Um,
has big creatures, you've got nothing apart from I think a history cog that just is straight up just destroy a creature. So if someone else is playing like a big board and you can just get overrun with this deck,
yeah,
I guess you're just banking on getting those Jerichos out early, getting a large enough board where you can just kind of like keep throwing creatures at things and fight them off
yeah.
as much as possible.
You do, however, have a Maleficorn and 8 damage pips. So you can get, if you can combo those out, you
Mm.
do get some particularly ridiculous effects. Noticeably, one of the Valjericos has 4 damage pips on it.
Does it? Oh, really? Jesus.
Yeah.
But I think I'm
Uh,
just looking. No damage pips in Dis though is the only thing.
no, so
So you
it
are
would
going to need
have
that
to,
Maleficorn to survive a turn.
yes, which might be tricky if if you've had a look at where the enhancements are placed.
Exactly. But yeah,
I
I
think the
think
final thing about this deck is the Obsidian Forge,
yes.
because you have 22 creatures, and so the Obsidian Forge is probably looking like it's going to go off at some point. It'll be
And
quite difficult to keep it away.
and the ability to play a lot of those creatures like and get like a big board kind of like almost instantly without even touching the sides. Yeah, I think I could definitely see an Obsidian Forge going off in most games with this and being used
Yeah.
as a finisher.
Alrighty, let's move
Okay,
on.
let's talk about Sherman El Escaleno de la Camada.
Or Sherman the Chamber Scale.
Oh,
Uh, and we have even more speed,
yeah.
and notably another double Valterico deck.
This is very true. Yeah, not something you'd expect to
Lo-
see once, let alone twice.
Love it, love it. And this is the sort of specific zoomy archetype that you get in Worlds Collide
Yeah.
Logo Starlights Untamed. It is 27 speed.
I believe you have said in the past this is your favorite combination of houses.
I love it. It's just so entertaining to play and very entertaining to watch. You will just do as many things as you possibly can on a given turn. And you have like the double Valterico, transport a platform with the Kirby as well, a big suite of untamed actions to use. And then you have triple E die, a Tau Tau, and a memory chip, such as all card draw, all archiving, and then instantly a legacy director of ZYX.
Yeah. This is clearly a strong deck, and it's clearly a fast deck that's intended to kind of like get you just as much Ember as possible as quickly as possible. There are two things that I think are the problem here, though. Firstly, 1.8 creature control.
Is the creature
That's
control is
by
even worse before.
your eyes are
You have,
not deceiving you. That is 1.8. The only thing that can be used to control creatures is Ink of the Spider and Stun. There is no destroyed effects. There are no damage effects in this
nothing.
deck. The only way
So,
you're going to get rid of other person's creatures is by fighting them.
so you pretty much just have to try and win before they have a meaningful board.
Yeah,
Um, and the Ember control is also very light. You've got the 3 E dies, and you've got 2 Cutthroat Research as well, but that is it.
yeah. This is the kind of deck that gives me palpitations. Like I would. This is my nightmare, to be honest. So
So you know what you got to do. You got to go fast, and you're probably going to win 3-2 if you win.
yeah, this is the kind of deck that I would, if I had to play this, I would just like want to curl up in a corner and cry a little bit. So
What's interesting is that on top of the sort of one of the problems with the rush plan is it doesn't have a key cheat.
no, this is what I was thinking. So you do need to be able to kind of forge on kind of. I think realistically you should win by turn 8 here in most cases.
Depending on how
And
your e-dying is going.
yeah, so you need to be able to forge on kind of 3 of those 8 turns without the other person being able to stop you, which I think in the current meta we are, with you've got things like Infernus running around, you've got kind of very controlly, like kind of like Sanctum, Shadows, Saurian, those kind of things. You're gonna really struggle to do that. So I can't see this being banned by George. I feel like he's got to think he's got a decent chance of getting one over on this deck in
Yeah.
particular.
But Triad is the sort of meta where you can get away with the deck like this a little bit
Hmm.
because you are able to ban things that would stop it.
And you've got a bit of a puncher's chance here, definitely.
Yeah. Can we
Okay,
just go?
finally, yeah, Jinx.
Boy.
HU Errante del Monolito de Diamante.
Or H2 Wanderer of the Diamond Monolith.
Ooh,
Uh,
spicy.
so this is some Kota. I think again, all of the it's a common theme across our deck chats that the Kota decks all each of the houses has a very clear sort of identity that it will do, and it will do it very well.
Mm.
So the Dis is controlling, the Shadows is stealing, and the Untamed is rushy.
Yeah. The Dissa also got double Dust Imp and unfortunately no Gateway, but a Dance of Doom that can potentially destroy both of them.
Yeah, adding to the 33 expected Ember.
Mm-hmm. You know, you got, say, for example, got Lights Out in the Shadows to deal with kind of like, say, Saurian, as well as kind of like just some general kind of steal. My aspect Customs Office, a card we've seen to great effect in
Yeah,
many matchups, being
could
able
be
to stop
very
artifacts coming out.
could be very handy.
And finally, like you said, this Untamed, classic Untamed, full moon, lot of Ember production there, Lost in the Woods, again trying to shuffle away any, like say, Saurians that have captured a lot of Ember, generally the use of Lost in the Woods in today's meta. And Nocturnal Maneuvers is a card that I think we've like slept on in the past when doing these deck chats, and we've always like, oh, Nocturnal Maneuver, fine. Often is actually a very powerful card and does a lot more work than you'd expect it to.
Yeah, especially in a triple, right? You get perhaps a little bit of a preview of Dark Tidings. You can get some sort of mass exhausting going on to
Yeah, exhausting three
disrupt your opponent's
creatures
board.
doesn't seem like much when you can just choose like the person's three best creatures not to be able to use the tool next turn. It often like fucks up a turn a lot more than you'd expect.
Yeah. Um, and
Okay.
so we do actually have some ban chat coming in as we record this.
Ah, do we? I think we should theorize first before we reveal it.
Okay, then. I
Who
would
you go,
go for
Callum? Okay, I'll
it.
go. I'll go. So from George's decks, we'll talk about George's decks first. What would I ban? Is a difficult question that I don't have an answer to. So you go first, Callum.
I also did not really necessarily know what Aeroyak would ban. I think should ban Tenebris, probably, because you've got the triple E-die shenanigans, and your creature control across all three decks is not great.
Mm,
So I think you might really struggle to remove multiple warded E-dies. But I think unless you've seen that deck before, which we do have an advantage of having done, it's
mhm.
not immediately obvious the exact archive everything plan it's going to go for.
Yeah,
So you might not get banned.
I'd be
Oh,
tempted by Razormare personally. I think you've got a lot of decks that rely on having those like really big turns where you do a lot with a specific house. And seeing a double controller weekend, knowing that could really mess me up, would worry me,
yeah,
as well as a gateway to dis. Like you look at, say, the biggest control score is for Razormare, and it's got kind of like gateways, it's got blinding lights,
yeah.
which could be a real problematic thing for you.
And also you have big rushy decks, and it has the big steal,
Yeah,
and
too much to
also
protect.
could probably keep up in terms of ember generation as well.
Exactly, yes. I think Razormare would be my pick, but I could see an argument for all three. I think they're all three very good decks and do very different things, which makes it hard.
Yeah. George, I think out of Ariak's decks, probably bans the Infernus one because of a couple of reasons. It gives Tenebris problems with the purging of the Edies,
Hmm.
possibly.
Yeah,
Um, and Razormere has a lot of pips in it as well, so also could be very vulnerable to Infernuses.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think like of the two Captain Valjerico double decks, it's probably the harder one of the two to deal with. Like Sherman, I feel like you've got the decks to deal with it. Garda, less so.
Yeah, and
And like
also,
if that Pandemonium could really turn off a Axiom of Risk too, if the
yeah,
Saurian
absolutely.
deck's allowed. So yeah, I'd agree with that.
Also, then Double Vault's Blessing, you can cut out, as we talked about,
Yeah,
the other mass mutation deck.
that's very true. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Garda is the one I'd go with.
All right, let's see how it goes.
Yep, okay, so we will see you in the game portion of the episode. Thank you very much. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the game portion of the episode. I'm just going to make the cards. Oh, they are large. Okay. Yeah, weird. I just thought they looked smaller for a second, but that's fine. And yep, we're just seeing the pleasantries coming through. I'm just going to let them know we are good to go. And we have Aeroyak on the top of the screen, and he is playing. He's going with HU Arante del Monolito de Diamante first. That is the Kota deck. And George is going for Charlatan, Feodora, Turbo Smack. He's playing on the bottom of the screen.
So we're going to call it Monolith versus Turbo Smack.
It sounds like a good plan to me.
And we have Mutant Rush versus Koto Rush.
Yeah. So this game's probably going to take about 20 minutes to 16 turns. Take a while. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You've got plenty of time to like get up and go do something else. You're not going to miss the 6 turns this takes to be over.
Put a coffee on. You'll be fine.
Just kidding. Please don't leave.
Yeah.
All right. Pleasantries.
We have a mulligan from George, but a keep from Aeroyak. Clearly happy with his opening hand. He dominated Bauble first turn. We're going to see Borrow takes the dominated
immediately borrowed. Rough opening turn. Gambled on the borrow not coming, and it is immediately borrowed.
And I think the only other artifact there to take would have been the customs office. And George, does he actually have any artifacts? Monument to Faust.
I've got the Dav, which is pretty big.
Dav, yeah.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, Mimicry's the borrow to borrow it right back.
The grasping vines as well.
To return it to their hand for some reason.
Yeah, I suppose just wanted to use the borrow maybe for a bit of a flex there, I think, and just for that Ember Pip, I guess, too.
I would have found that very difficult to resist for comedy purposes.
And we are going to see the Vault's Blessing, just get a nice Ember Pip for George here. Wood returning, and Lost in the Woods, shuffle everything back in.
Yep, you get a Sotolotto back, and they lose a Chief Fairy, pretty good.
And a Equilibrium. Oof.
Oh, he's off to the races.
So no stealing for Aeroyak either here. This is a big turn for George. George's got to be licking his chops here. Very happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, that's a big opening start because that TMTP is obviously completely turned off by the Cephaloist.
Yes. I mean, TMTP not best to use here, only 7 Ember, but, you still got smaller steals in the deck, I believe, like Nerve Blast, for example.
He's missed it. He's missed the Cephaloist.
You wonder if he's playing it for the Ember, maybe?
Yeah, to be fair.
Not wanting to keep it in hand. He's got clearly got
okay. Didn't miss it. Ignore me. Just
I would have been
out.
tempted to hidden stash the TMTP there, though. I don't know what else he's archived, but this is a big card just to be chucking away this early in the game. Yeah. Lights out, discarded. Oof, that's big, actually.
Yeah, because the deck's not big on removal, and that's a very big piece.
Yeah, couldn't quite get that Fandangle. Couldn't quite get his Ember total up to 4 to activate that Fandangle. But George, you got to be happy with this position here. 1 key up in this race, turning off the steal for
3 turns.
Yeah, this is going to be the best start that George could have really hoped for, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Only could have been improved by the Dav, but I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, he seems to be getting through his deck pretty quick anyway. I was just going to check what he got rid of with that Punctual Equilibrium too. Customs Office gone, Dust Imp, some really nice discs he's got rid of there too, with obviously that Dominator Bauble that was returned.
Pit Demon, Stealer of Souls.
Yeah. I'm going to see Dance of Doom. Goes for the 3s, so gets rid of that Fandangle and the Ember Spine Mongrel. Control the weak into Untamed.
Untamed, which is interesting.
And we see the Dav coming down.
Boy, that is rough.
Yeah, but obviously couldn't get that steal off with the Shula because there was only 3 Ember in the pool. I'm gonna get a little bit more power on his creatures. I think. Yep, this is Cephaloist Fight there, and not a great turn by Jaws, but going to be happy to get that Dav down. Especially that's potentially more mutants to come.
That is not what you want to see from a control the weak type game.
Not at all, no. So we haven't seen any Saurian from George yet either. So with this full moon turn coming up, I've got to wonder if we're going to see some big capture. And a Lost in the Woods gets rid of that Rad Penny and that Subtle Lotto. Interesting, I would have maybe got rid of the Cephaloist there. That seems a curious choice. And charges.
I absolutely would have got rid of the Cephaloist.
I suppose thinking it's got the damage on, maybe less concerned, but doesn't have a play effect.
And put the Red Penny back in as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely want to put the Red Penny in. And yeah, we do see that Sanctum coming on down.
Saurian.
Ugh.
Look, not everyone can play Sanctum all the time. I know you do, but
I don't play it all the time. I play Saurian more than Sanctum nowadays, to be honest.
You would have played Sanctum all the time if they hadn't literally made it impossible by taking it out of the game.
Yeah, and also like Sanctum's not as good.
Ironically, it's my favorite Sanctum by some margin.
Yeah, like taking out Doorstep has crippled it completely.
This is probably true. Aeroyak taking some time to think.
Yeah, I mean, understandable. I think it's got to be like it's got to be kind of like a bit of a shock to the system. This almost, I think, this is just lots has happened very quickly, but he is coming back into this with a ghostly hand here, Nerve Blast to steal one, but can't because of the Cephaloist.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, that's why I just think I would have got rid.
And he is on 5M here,
Maybe
so not on check.
may have missed the Dav.
Potentially, and he's going to get that Ghost Hawk for the Reap with the Ludo and the Galia Tops, and capture one onto that Galia Tops too. Trimble. Is Trimble the one that gives Skirmish? Yep, so I imagine he's going to use that Cephaloist to kill the Mamook, I would think. At least that's what I would do. And he is going to do that, yeah. And I think...
The problem with the lack of creature control. Nocturnal Maneuvers can only get you so far.
It can indeed. We are going to see the Hunting Witch come down, but he has got... You've got to be thinking he's coming up to that Spores of Battle on the inside somewhere here, which means that even if Aeroyak does get that big Ember Spike from playing Untamed, is it going to get him there? And he is Nocturnal Maneuvering a lot of things here, though. Yeah. So will he go get a second key?
Yeah, there's your double Nocturnal Maneuver.
George is going to Forge, though. It's true because it rhymed.
And that is how George wins all of his games.
Yeah, it just rhymes. It's like, I've got to win my games.
Here's the Saurians.
God, I think the Spores of Battle's coming out here. Faust. And just, has the 2 damage pips on it to destroy that Hunting Witch. Got to be very happy with that.
But yeah,
goes to the there's the Spoils of Battle.
So I think that's all 6 of that Ember going away.
That is, yeah. And you've got the Ludo down too. You're going to ward everything with the Ancient Power. We need to come up with a fun name for that, because that is...
Brutal Swings.
Yeah.
I don't know what our fun name will be, because obviously they're all CSI based puns usually.
They are indeed.
I call it the Get Fucked.
And Hysteria there barely even does anything. That's
nope, because it was just all warded, so it's not getting any of that Ember back.
Nope, is returned.
Keys still costing 11.
Yep, can't steal anything because of the could steal anything, but the only thing is, this is.
I think George is probably going to get an Ember.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's stuff like, though, if he say went Untamed, he could just kind of clear this board with the Trimble and the Cephaloist, get some Ember with the Dark Fairy here if he wanted. He could go Saurians here, get that Ludo back down in case there's any kind of ways to kill everything. George has got options here, and that's kind of like what you really want in Keyforge a lot of the time.
Has reshuffled now, so the Dance of Doom could be coming back.
It could be, but you look at the variety, though, of different powers here. Like Dance of Doom, what do you hit? I guess a 4, but... and Axiom of Grisk as well, and warding that Dust Imp and putting the Ember on the Dust Imp to stop it dying too. This is.
He warded Faust, but
but he put the Ember on the Dust Imp.
That was a real nice play.
Just kills it anyway. Why not?
Well, get an Ember. They only get 2. You're comfortably ahead, I think.
Yeah, and we see the Urchin can't steal anything because of that Cephaloist.
They'll do nothing.
No, and I think maybe should have played that Silvertooth first. It feels like he's just missed the Cephaloist the whole time.
Yeah, that one feels like more of a mistake than the other one, but I don't know.
Because this is like, for the Urchin, I guess, but you could have definitely used that Silvertooth to kill the Cephaloist and then Nerve Blasted.
Yep. Either way, George wins this in 9 turns.
As we said, very fast game, as expected. 9 turns it went to. And George are going to create the second, so we will await that. And I think a very fast start from George, and just Aeroyak unfortunately couldn't catch up after that.
Yeah, the combination of a bunch of creatures into the Punk, into the Vault's Blessings, hard to come back from that, especially when you hit the control the weak turn and they drop the Dav.
And we'll just join this game. I did click. I clicked watch. Okay. I didn't want to join as a competitor, as I did not qualify.
It's hard for me to mock you when you're openly weeping.
That's why I weep. No one can mock you.
I'll do it. Don't get me wrong.
No one can mock a crying man.
I disagree.
And we see George on the bottom this time playing Tenebris of Lobaroom Prison, and Aeroyak sticking with HU.
Sometimes people switch it up. I tend to be a switcher.
I too am a switcher.
Gonna have to win with it if he wins the match. So
true.
Might as well get out now.
George sticking with his opening hand. Aeroyak going for the mulligan, And going shadows to your customs office. Very nice to get out early on.
Yeah.
George does have a couple of artifacts he'd happy to get down, but did
But
just
does
poltergeist
immediately
it
poltergeist the customs office,
and plays the
solving
Malison.
that problem.
Lost in the Woods to shuffle it back in, plays a Mamook down. And
There's
hologramophone
the
down.
hologramophone.
Daughter gonna get the draws an E-die to archives. That's the first E-die of the
And
game. I think we'll be seeing
so it
many more
and
before
so
long.
it begins.
It does indeed. This hysteria.
Bold
Yeah.
hysteria.
And that Shula coming down. Pit Demon. And what are we going to see from George? We are going to see Logos again. Not even thinking about it, just going straight for that Logos.
Just starting to get that archiving going.
Tropics Will on the Steeler Souls. The sort of
Double
problem
intro.
playing against Dis is a lot of them only have one trait. You know, you see like stuff like in here you got AI Scientist, Cyber Scientist. In Dis you've got Demon, Demon, Demon. A lot of just imps or demons tend not to have that second trait that makes a Tropic Swirl really pop that you sometimes see.
Yeah, it's not getting the value that you quite want, but 2 cards in the archives now.
Yeah, and also stopping that Stealer of Souls being able to use its effect of purging a creature after it's fighting and gaining one, which would be really powerful against the E-die. So I think George very happy to be able to do that. He is going to get rid of that Daughter, though. But the E-die will stick on the board.
Early days, yeah. No one's made a massively impactful start quite like the last game.
No, I think a bit more cagey this time. You know, I think George got to be slightly happy with his position, starting to get that archive built up. You know, kind of played out some cards, and he's going to go for a Star Alliance here. First off's afraid. Zap.
Gonna take out the Stealer of Souls, probably.
Yeah, Stealer of Souls I think makes sense. I could have seen an argument for maybe the Shula, because the Stealer of Souls can't fight into anything.
Yeah.
You maybe don't want it in the discard as much, but you've not got any rises or anything in this deck.
Okay,
so
here comes the
concerned.
burst.
I'm going to see an
George
optional maneuver. A little bit of sleep.
George got up to check with the Frane's Blaster on the Frame, but is now kept off by the Solitary Crab.
Yep, that common or garden Mamook. Not imprinted, not Mustic, just Mamook. You can see that second E-die though, archiving again. Third E-die, even more archiving. That's a key cost of 18 currently, an award. And he didn't reap or fight with his E-die. Because it was exhausted by the Nocturnal Maneuver. I got there in the end.
A little sleepy nap.
He is having a nap. Do AI dream of electric sheep? I'll never know. Couldn't kill that Hunting Witch though, which means this could pop off a bit for Aeroyak.
Yes.
But with a key cost of 18, he's also going to have to deal with those 3 E-die in some way on that same turn. So
yeah, I mean, this is kind of how it goes, right, with Tenebris. That you can get as much Ember as you want, but if your keys cost 18, then you're going to struggle.
We are seeing Dis here, and we haven't seen the Dance of Doom yet, I don't believe, and that could be problematic for George if we do see the Dance of Doom as well. Decided to use a Pit Demon to steal one, valuing it.
I've got to think I would have. I suppose he would have forged the key otherwise. With
that's the thing.
Going.
That's got to be the reason, and keeping that Hunting Witch alive too.
I'd have been tempted to let him have that. He put all 3 E-dies in the discard pile.
Yeah, I would think so too, but I can see both sides of it really here.
Like, there is an Exhume.
We are going to see the recon. I imagine that Hunting Witch is going to go bye-bye thanks to that Blaster, which it is. Information Officer Grey, going to do a cheeky archive of a Malison. Engineer Walls as well. So let's take a little bit of take stock of the situation here. You know, we've seen that Hunting Witch come down from Aeroyak. We've not seen that Full Moon yet. We've not seen a key charge, but a lot of the bigger miasma just stop that forge with a hidden stash. We haven't seen any Dis from George here, but I've got to think most of that is in the archives at the moment.
Yeah, I think having seen the deck before, most of it will go in the archives.
Oof, and the lights out, I think that maybe the Frane and the Walls. No, probably not the Walls, because you don't want to return that Frane's Blaster, so yeah. But we can do the Frane, we can reap with the Engineer anyway, actually, so...
Yeah, gets rid of the E-die, meaning that George has to then put that down if he wants to continue the shenanigans.
Yeah, and keep putting that key cost up. I believe he is going for the Logos, yeah. but could have a bit of logos in hand at this point. Hadn't played it in a couple of turns. You've
Yeah.
been taking some Starlights. We see the Tau Vapors. Tau Vapors
Double
again.
Telltale Vapors, and he's like, we're 7 turns in, and George's archive is 7. So he's averaging an archive card per turn.
Yes,
And
he
it's going to
is.
be 8 when he replaces Edai.
And Wild Wormholes into the groupthink tank. Gotta be happy with that getting on the board. I'm gonna put down that E-die again. Key cost of 13, just the one E-die at this point, and is only 7 cards away from reshuffling the deck too with the war.
14 and a what did Edai?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing actually in Tenebrous that will punish Aeroyak for having that with Timber. It will just make it impossible to forge.
Exactly. But, generally, if you can't forge, you can't win, in my experience.
That is some solid Keyforge advice from Teams Creature Bob-Omb.
What can I say? Playing this game a while.
Didn't make it to KFPL, but does know that you need to forge keys to win.
I've been told.
Okay, that's my one joke.
Yeah, we let him have one.
I'm allowed one joke per game.
Yeah.
All right. Up to 12 Ember, not a check.
Nope.
George hasn't forged a key either, but I just don't think he'll be that concerned at this point.
Oh, that Kurikar next to the E-die, he's got to be very happy about that. Going to make it real hard to get rid of, especially in this deck. I mean, what do you have to get? You've seen the Dance of Doom. You've seen the Hysteria.
Got nothing. The creature control is so bad in
Double Nerve Blast is the only thing I could think that we're going to see. Fully get rid of that. Because we've seen the Lost in the Woods as well. Yes, we saw it very early on. And that Frane's Blaster
is resisting the urge to attach it to Frane.
I think that makes sense. Just wanting to get like 2 damage on something and just think you can reap with Frane next turn if you want and get another Ember on it and put both of those in your pool.
And the TMTP hasn't been seen yet, so doesn't want to take too much of a risk there.
I think that's a very sensible play from Aeroyak. From George. And we are going to see the Untamed coming out here. He discards the Full Moon. Interesting. And Mimicry's the Entropic Swirl. That's big.
Nice.
Is about. Sorry, you go.
Before the reshuffle too, so all 3 E-dies are not available right now.
No, because we don't have an Exhume, I don't think.
There is an Exhume.
We do have an Exhume though. So,
but it might be in the archives.
I would think George would have avoided putting that in the archives if he could. I've got to think that you know the situation could come up and that you're going to prepare for that accordingly with an Exhume, especially with that spot next to the Kurikar.
And there it is.
Yeah. I got to think that's why he was leaving that spot open, just being like, right, I want to just have a space here ready to put this back just in case he has, say, that double Nerve Blast, or maybe he spotted the Mimicry and we didn't. I could definitely see George having done that.
Also, enjoyably, Maverick Candle Unit.
Yeah, that's not going to get confusing at all.
No, not remotely. And we now see the key to Tenebrous winning in that he's reshuffled the discard pile into the deck. He has 6 cards in his hand and 9 cards in the draw pile.
Yeah, and 2 of those 9 cards are Tau Vapors too.
So yeah, 2 of them are Tau Vapors, 2 of them are Entropic Swirls, and 2 of them are Redice.
Yeah, he's also got a daughter knocking around there as well to make his hands even bigger. This is looking very problematic for Aeroyak here. I think obviously you're always going to have to do this matchup, but I think this matchup for Aeroyak's deck was always going to be troublesome.
Well, he could have banned it. Okay, so George has an option here, and that he could make Aeroyak forge a key at 16 Ember.
He could. That's true.
I think he might.
Yeah, I think
he may not have another E-die or archiving in hand.
I mean, he could also, though, he could make it actually 17 with, say, the Information Officer Grey. I could see he could also stop him with the Star Alliance if he used the Information Officer Grey to go to 17, use the Frane to that would 17 balance, so he could make him force for 17, which I think may be what happens. Yeah,
because there's a certain degree of like risk mitigation with this sort of strategy that it's probably not going to go wrong at this point, but just in case you want to get rid of all of that Ember and let them have a key.
I would be very much inclined to do it. Anyway, we're going to see the capture from the Frane. I think we'll see there maybe the fight. I'd maybe fight a Pit Demon with the Grey and move. We do see that, and then move the Blaster onto the Frane.
Still no TMTP, so he's
No,
gonna.
but I just can't think you're that bothered, really. Like, if he TMTPs at this point, okay.
Yeah, you're getting to the sort of your unstoppable end game.
Oh, just does the 2 damage to the Dust Imp.
Yeah, it's gonna make him forge for 17.
Yeah, fair play.
Practically a bargain.
I mean, I would have maybe just kind of like got myself a but I suppose if he's almost certainly got. I think we've not seen have we seen a second both Nerve Blasts out yet? We've not seen both Nerve Blast and we've not seen the CMCP, so you can probably knock you off either way.
But it's going Dis, so I don't think has an answer.
Maybe not. Maybe just does it. Maybe it's in that bottom 3 cards is either that TMTP or that second Nerve Blast. And I've got to assume it's a Dis here. I think Aeroyak's figured out what's going on.
Yeah,
Star
no pick
Alliance.
Star Alliance. I guess putting him into the house that he's just picked, but I can't.
I mean, we've seen the Hysteria, right? Yeah, we've
I
not.
mean, you could have picked Dis here. You must have been able to. It must be plausible to work out how little he's played. He's played Dis once the entire game.
Yeah, I'm able to see that capture on that Frayne. I think
Like
now
twice.
we'll maybe see that Frayne's Blaster moving across.
Yep, just pick all the number back up, nice and easy.
Yeah.
Go to check on 6-ish.
I'm gonna fight the Terror. And are we right? We are right, and there it is. Onto 6. Onto check. And that's it. Does Aeroyak have a response? I gotta think he's got to at least say that Nerve Blast to kind of prolong what feels like the inevitable at this point. And we obviously that TMTP and the steal with the Nerve Blast. And the second to kill that Edai. But you've got to assume he's drawn at least one more Edai. And even if he hasn't, you've got to think
could have been unlucky, but still 5 cards left.
Unless he's literally got both Tattoo Vapors and both Edais in that last 5 cards, which seems incredibly unlucky. I think George is going to be okay here.
Probably, yes.
And Twin Bolt Emission and Tropic Swirl. Tattoo Vapors.
Tattoo.
Yeah. And
13 cards in the archives now, so he's accelerated.
Tattoo again. I mean, he's definitely drawn.
So now he now has at least an Edai. Yeah,
exactly. Reaps with the groupthink. Plays the Edai.
Plays an Edai.
There we go. And archives to make it a key cost of 21.
Yeah, and if you look at the discard that's about to go back into the deck, it's basically just logos. So his hand is almost all logos now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because
Aeroyak hits us with the GG.
Yep. Just couldn't stop the Edai shenanigans.
No, he could
doesn't
not.
really have the removal.
No, and even if unless he's redrawn, miasmas there just just as a little bit of a fu.
Perhaps out of spite, yes. Yeah. We've picked up George's strategy here. It's just not fun to be in Aeroyak's position right now.
No.
Like this is the peak Worlds Collide logos bullshit.
Especially with the deck that Aeroyak's playing, we just don't have the response. You don't have these big board clears. You don't have kind of any way to deal. Like if you had to Desania in this matchup, who boy?
Yeah, probably worked out about 10 minutes ago that this was no longer winnable.
Yeah, and I think Aeroyak, though, to be fair to him, has been doing a good job of playing to his outs and just thinking,
oh yeah.
If I can get ridiculously lucky here, I could potentially forge a second key and make this a bit of a game.
Yeah,
and
clearly a good player.
Done that very well. Mimicking that Entropic Swirl, keeping those Nerve Blasts, keeping that TMTP. George playing around that too, going to 6 or 7, not going to more Ember than he needs to. Good as well. I think I would have probably gone a bit crazy and maybe gone to 9 or 10 and maybe put myself in a really difficult position. Yep. But George showing a lot of restraint as a player.
Yep. And GGWP from George. I think both players did play well and it was a good game. But sometimes in Keyforge the matchups aren't with you.
Yeah.
And I would say that was what happened to Aeroyak today.
I think just Hugh both cases wasn't the best matchup for either, really. It had a lot of things that George, if he knew he got the board, he could then keep the board and just stop Aeroyak from playing, and he did that in both games, and Hugh just didn't really have a response.
Nah, pretty comfortably done.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that has been GJ999 versus Aeroyak. Good game from both players. A very fast game though, so easily watch this over your lunch break.
Yeah. Or, hey, you have time to watch another one of our excellent videos.
You do indeed. But I have been David Baron von Fabulous Lark.
And I've been Callum, the good Dr. Young.
We've been Team Screech Bob-Omb. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.